my baptism, help me toward my salvation? The answer is no. It doesn't help you toward salvation. But if you are saved, then these things are a badge, and these things are a means of communication to the world who you are. But if you're not measuring up, then your church membership and your baptism are a disgrace. And instead of being sacred, they become profane. Now, Paul is going to answer the question, what is the advantage then did the Jews have? And that concludes the first section. Now, let's move on to section verse 2. Much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of God. Paul is saying, yes, the Jew had an advantage. The advantage, however, created a responsibility. We need to note carefully the advantage the Jews had because there is a great deal of confusion in this area. I know men who are teaching in theological seminaries who make no distinction between the Judaism in the Old Testament and the church in the New Testament. Paul is making it clear that God not only gave the nation of Israel the oracles of God, they were the ones who communicated the Word of God, but in the Word of God was something special to them. God is now through with the nation Israel. I always test a theologian at that particular point. Does God have a future for Israel? My friend, if God doesn't have a future for Israel, I don't think he has a future for you either, or for that theological professor. All God's promises are in the same Word of God. God is going to make good John 3:16, and God is going to make good his covenant with Abraham in chapter 12 of Genesis. Listen again to Dr. Stifler as he is speaking of Israel. His advantage was not that God showed Judaism and the world reaped Christianity. The blots of Judaism, it was first of all that until them were committed to the oracles of God, and not that they were made a mere Bible depository, but that God uh, gave them as Jews promises not yet fulfilled, and particularly their own. The Old Testament, the record of this oracle, contains not one promise, neither of or to the church as an organization. It does not predict a church. It foreshadows a kingdom in which the Jews shall be held and not lose uh, his national distinction as he does in the church. Now, friend, I think that's one of the most important and profane statements that has been made concerning the Word of God. At this point, great theologians differ. Dr. Adolf Saffer was a converted Jew, and he made this tremendous pointed statement. The view that is so prevalent that Israel is a shadow of the church, and now that the type is fulfilled, vanishes from the horizon, is altogether unscriptural. Israel is not the shadow fulfilled and observed in the church, but the basis on which the church rests. Friend, that is an important comment, and that's what Paul is saying here, that the Jew has a great advantage. God has a future for him, and his faithlessness will not destroy God's promise. Listen to Paul. And so that concludes that section. Now let's